So have you ever heard the term like closing costs and you have no idea what it means? You can't really put your finger on what that is, how much it costs, and what's going on there. So if so, you are not alone. I am a realtor. I'm Emily Cressey with Keller Williams Greater Seattle, and today I'm breaking down closing costs step by step so you can be prepared and actually know how much they cost. By the end of this video, I want you to know which expenses fall on buyers, which ones belong to sellers, and how that will factor into your offer strategy. So let's dive in. What sellers typically pay is the first question. Sellers often cover a range of fees starting with their real estate excise tax. Think of this as a sales tax on their property sale that can range from about 1.5% to 2% or more of the sales price. It's a sliding scale depending on the cost of the home. And they are typically also responsible for paying real estate agent commissions for both the buyer and the seller. As the buyer, you don't usually pay for your own agent's fees directly unless the seller is not covering it for some unusual reason. This is something that is to be negotiated in the contract, but in 90% of all cases, I would say the seller pays for all of the realtor fees. Additionally, sellers are going to pay half of the escrow fees. Escrow is a company, it's a neutral third party handling all of the financial logistics and paperwork that comes along with the sale. I always like to joke and say they're like Switzerland. They're supposed to be neutral. They're not for the buyer. They're not for the seller. They're just there to close the house or to dissolve the deal according to the terms of the contract. And those costs are split evenly between the buyer and the seller. The next item on the seller's list of responsibilities is the owner's title insurance policy. Title insurance is it's an insurance policy that protects you, kind of like making sure the research that was done on the house was good to ensure that you have full ownership of the property and protect you from hidden issues like old liens and mortgages, boundary disputes, other things that could pop up, and you don't want to find out about these after the sale. You want to know about them in advance. And they also protect your ability to convey clear title to the next buyer when you go to sell the property. And finally, sellers pay their share of any property taxes or home ownership association dues right up until the day that they hand over the keys. So after that point, all of those fees are going to be paid by you. You might pay some of them in advance at closing, but you don't have to worry that, they haven't written the check to the tax, property taxes yet, that you're going to be stuck with the bill. They're going to get their bill for their days in the property. So let's take a look at what buyers typically pay. As a buyer, your closing costs are mostly tied to your loan. Expect fees like the loan origination charge, appraisal costs, credit reports, and some prepaid expenses like homeowners insurance and property taxes. You're going to be paying them anyway, but they take it out in advance just to make sure that there's enough there to cover those bills. You're also going to cover your half of the escrow fee that we talked about before, that's Switzerland, and you're going to pay for the lender's title insurance policy. The seller pays for a policy that protects you, and you pay for a policy that protects your bank. And this policy exists to protect the lender's interest in the property. They're putting more money into it than you are. And so if there were a problem, like the house burned down or they couldn't sell the property, the lender would also be protected, I guess, by the property insurance and the title insurance in that example. How much does it cost? I often tell my buyers to budget about 1.5% to 2% of the purchase price to go toward closing costs. But obviously this number can vary depending on a lot of things, especially your loan program, current interest rates, your credit profile, how much down payment you're using, and other factors. So your lender is actually going to be the best source for a detailed breakdown on all of these costs. So don't forget to ask for an itemized estimate. They'll usually give you one pretty close to the beginning of the deal after you get your property under contract. But you might want to get an estimate before you get your property under contract so you know if you can afford it and how much cash you're going to need, okay? Let's talk about using closing costs to your advantage. Oh, never thought I'd say that. So closing costs are not just a final hurdle. They can actually be a strategic part of your negotiation. So rather than asking the seller for a price reduction when you're buying a home, you might request that the seller cover some or all of your closing costs. For instance, A $10,000 price cut might only lower your monthly payment by around $70 per month, but a $10,000 closing cost credit keeps that cool 10 G's in your pocket right now, which can be far more valuable for your immediate financial comfort, buying furniture, and just not having to save up as much money in order to purchase the house. When we write your offer, we will talk about which strategy makes the most sense for you so we can tailor your offer to best support your goals. If you have questions or you want to learn more about closing costs, feel free to reach out. Everyone's favorite topic, but I'm always here to make sure that you're confident and well-informed and ready to take the next step in the home buying journey. So thanks so much for watching. Again, your local realtor, Emily Cressey, and I will see you on the next video.